it doesn't make sense in evolution for women to give you an instruction manual on how to make them happy.
Yeah.
Often you guys will find that if you do exactly what your girl tells you, she will punish you for it.
I'm somebody that universally, I try not to put anybody on blast. I never want to do it. But I'm universally the guy that most of my friends would speak to about the issues that they're having with women.
For sure.
You know, and I'm always trying to say, well, you got to tell her. If you feel that way and because it's causing mental health issues with you, you're just shutting the fuck up and she's just starting to walk all over.
It's acting like a bitch.
And all you're going to do is end up, hey, you might be fucking 3 other women, but in home you're not happy. Go ahead, fix home real quick.
Well, that's because men and women communicate differently. Men communicate overtly and women communicate covertly. Women have a greater capacity for understanding like communication. So when women enjoy the act of communicating. So for women, it's the feeling that they get from the conversation. So if she wants to get with her best girlfriend, say, let's go down to Starbucks and catch up about it. Like that's an event because it's pleasurable for women to actually have that conversation because women focus on the context of the conversation. How did that conversation make her feel? Men, when we're talking, we're transferring information. Where's the woolly mammoth? We need spears. We need spears. Okay, how are we going to kill it? Are we going to run down the caribou? So it's a process, and men tend to be overt in their communications, meaning we mean what we say and we say what we mean. It's all based on information rather than feelings. Again, empiricism versus emotionalism. And it's also based on the content of the conversation rather than the context. So the content is, what's the information that you're giving me? What problems are we going to solve as a result of this conversation? And then somewhere in between, we might end up becoming brothers. We might end up becoming friends because we both worked together and collaborated and cooperated on this collective problem, and we solved it together because that's the way that men, when they communicate, we communicate this way. We're looking at the game. We're talking. When women communicate, they look at each other. And it's eye contact back and forth. For men, it's usually not the way. When men are communicating, the best time to communicate is when they have a collective project, like working on a car or some shit like that, or they're fishing or whatever. There's some sort of project they're working on, and that's when men tend to communicate the best. But like when your buddies come to you and go, hey man, I don't know if she really likes me. Should I tell her about my feelings? Should I do this? And what do we say? You're acting like a bitch. You're talking like a bitch. Literally, you're talking like a woman because you're using a covert communication style. And what was your advice? Just tell her what the fuck you want. Like, just tell her what say what you mean and mean what you say. Stop using covert language and start using overt language. Start acting like a man. Go out there and tell her what's what instead of being wishy-washy and acting like a bitch. That's the difference between male communication and female communication. And I think that's probably the number one reason why guys get into these really bad situations with women is because they're communicating like they think that woman wants to be communicated with.
Men are
You're not a good listener. You're goddamn right, because
I
speak overt, you speak covert.
Men don't want, men communicate in bad situations like this. They don't want their girl to go fuck somebody else. So they're taking it easy. Stop being a bitch. If she wants to go fuck somebody else, who gives a fuck? All she did was help you dodge a bullet. Fuck her.
Yeah, I mean, of course, because you have a certain level of abundance. So the other issue is this, right? It doesn't make sense in evolution for women to give you an instruction manual on how to make them happy. Yeah. Often you guys will find that if you do exactly what your girl tells you, she will punish you for it. And so one of the issues that happens is like when you set boundaries as a man and understand that I have my path and purpose and you can join me on my path and purpose, you have to allow me to lead. If you understand that, what will happen is initially you're going to get pushback. And then eventually what you're going to find is that she's happier because she is in a situation. So this is a problem. I'm going to say this for women who probably aren't going to agree with what I have to say initially, but just like listen to the whole thing. Women have the ability to get what we said before, infinite dick. They get like constantly being paraded. It's being put in their IG. Constantly they're being offered it everywhere they go. Even the cashier, people in their, they grew up with whoever, the mechanic, everyone. Everyone's trying to have sex with them. They're being offered this constantly. So we understand that women have the ability to be offered more they have more attention than we do. So because they have that leverage point, in order for a relationship to work, women have to be, I believe, women have to be slightly more into a man than a man's into a woman. If he's more into her, remember, she also has all these options. So it doesn't really work. And he has no point of leverage. If she has genuine desire and he has the upper hand where she's slightly more into him than he's into her, then this relationship can work because now he has the ability to lead. And if you can show me something that counters this, and please let me know. The vast, vast majority of relationships that I see work are when men are allowed to lead. Not allowed, but men lead. When they do lead, what you find is that a lot of the problems that she's having with you magically just go away. So this boundary that she's
you saying allowed comes from somewhere because it is a thing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like, you okay with it, sweetheart?
Yeah.
We'll do a lot better if I lead the way.
Yes, for sure. I do all this stuff. I tell sometimes my girlfriend, we're walking around with a big group of girls and the girl be in her ear, where are we going? I'm like, it doesn't matter. You're going to let me lead. We're like nightclub in Vegas. This is my house. Don't worry about it. Like we're on stage at XS. I basically pay rent here.
You're fine.
You're fine. Don't worry. You're going to and I don't even say, I don't ask her, but like, you're going to let me lead. And then she's like, oh, okay, now I understand what's going on here. Whereas if you can't ask the deer how to hunt the deer. Women are going to, like, biologically, like, just imagine a girl who's like a perfect 10. If she had some sort of like, was able to tell you how to bang chicks who were like 10s, then every guy would just be banging 10s all the time. But of course, it doesn't work like that. There's no way that a woman who's that attractive is going to give you the blueprint in order to sleep with women. So like, they can't give you the advice to make them happy or to be in relationships with them or to sleep with them. It's not that they're like deliberately trying to give you bad advice. They just evolutionarily can't give you. It's
because
like
they know that when you're asking a woman directly, you're using empirical overt language. When you ask a woman, the very question. The fact that you would need to ask her in the first place disqualifies you.
Yes.
You're already because you're the guy who doesn't get it. She wants to get with the guy who's been rewarded so many times with chicks that he doesn't need to ask those stupid fucking questions.
And so what'll happen?
If you were a suitable mate, you would know.
Yeah.
So, but here's the other thing. When she does give you advice, and she'll give you some advice, she's giving you the advice of the man she's attracted to. So she's going to give you advice like be more sensitive or buy her flowers or whatever. And by the way, if you're as good looking or as wealthy as Tom Brady, you can buy women flowers, and I'm sure it's a turn on. But that's the thing. In her mind, the concept, I've said this before, the concept of male self-improvement, I truly believe women don't even believe it exists.
Yeah.
I truly believe that women are like, when you say, hey, what can I do to make this unattractive guy sleep with this super hot girl? The girl like can't even conceive of that reality. Even though we see it happen all the time. Dudes like pull themselves up from their shoestrings and improve and become like high status, and they end up sleeping with super hot girls all the time. We see it. Women, when they give advice to men on how to sleep with women, the advice is always the advice that they would give to a man who they're already attracted to. Oh, wow. Because they can't conceive of a man they're not attracted to being able to sleep with them, because that would require self-improvement, which women do not inherently and it's the hottest women who don't conceive this. They don't conceive this idea. They wait at the finish line and they fuck the winners. They don't care about your struggle. They wait at the finish line and they fuck the winners. And so from that concept, like, that's why they cannot give you good advice. Now extrapolate that to being in the relationship, and you're asking, well, what do you want? What do you want to make me happy? You asking the question all of a sudden means you're not leading. So now she's even more turned off. Her hypergamy is more confused, looking for signals. Where's this out? I need an alpha male because this guy clearly isn't one. When instead you say, no, I'm going to lead. And then when she doesn't, you have to have the ability to walk away. I tell my guys all the time, would they ask me a question about their girl? And my question is, I don't know how to answer your question because I don't have all the context, but what I would ask you is, would you tolerate this behavior if there were 3 stunning women waiting for you at home, dying to fuck you? Would you still tolerate this behavior? And they're like, no, of course not. Then you have sold yourself short.
All you need to know.
Would you tolerate this behavior from your boss if you had $50 million in the bank? Would you tolerate this behavior from your friends if you could just get rid of them and get a cooler friend group? And would you tolerate this? Would you tolerate the behavior from your girl if you have 3 girls waiting for you back at home? I've had 3 girls waiting for me back at home before, and I can tell you from that point forward, I would not tolerate anything from a woman that I dated that I wouldn't tolerate if I had 3 women's back at home.
Confidence is derived from options.
So, but it's derived from
it's like
abundance.
tolerating it from your fucking employee. That's a piece of shit employee, but you know that you're already good.
This is one of the reasons why you'll see with large sales teams, they fire the bottom 15% on a regular basis, and why NFL teams will churn through the guys at the bottom of the roster. But for two reasons. One, they want possible improvement, but two, they need the rest of the team to see you are competing for something. There you go. And so the situation is, if a woman does not want you to cheat, but if she knows you can never cheat, you are in deep shit.
Yeah.
And a woman does not want you to replace her, but if she believes that you can't replace her, if she believes that she is the best you could possibly do, she will walk all over you.
Women don't want you to cheat, but they love a man who could.
Yes, and if she has any inkling that if she cheated, that you would take her back, you have two problems. Number one is there's an underlying issue that caused her to cheat. Women do not cheat because of, generally, 83% of the time, generally not cheat just because of a sexual urge. They cheat because they're missing something. That's the first reason. But the second problem is when you take her back.
It could be.
Yeah, it could be. Okay.
Can't roll that out.
When you take her, I'm sorry, for sexual variety. That's what I meant to say. Short-term sexual variety. Women generally don't cheat for short-term sexual variety like men do. But that's the first issue.
I need long-term good dick. That's basically that they'll cheat for.
This better be worth it.
So there's two issues if you take a woman back who cheats. The first issue is that there's some underlying problem that hasn't been fixed. And the second issue is you're always the dude who took back a girl who cheated on you.
And she will
What's wrong with you?
that.
What is wrong? Even though consciously she will be begging you to take her back, subconsciously she's like, he took me back after I cheated on
This
him.
weak motherfucker.
There must be, her hypergamy is saying there must be something. Because remember, all of her evolutionary programming is to find the best genetics that she can possibly couple with that is going to be able to protect, provide, and provision for her child.
That's also why you should never tell a chick that you're reading my book or that you're in MOA or that you're in any way trying to become to have some sort of masculine self-improvement, and never say, hey, I became the man I am today because I read The Rational Male and I went to MOA, and I never say that. Because that woman wants to believe her hindbrain that you just get it. You're naturally an alpha, that you didn't actually have to go through any process. You just naturally got it because her filter, her intuition, I call it the hypergamous filter, right? She's looking for is he the best I can do, right? Well, if he was, he wouldn't have had to go through all that bullshit to become this guy. So there's this want for an understanding of whether the guy is authentic. So when you look at like shows like The Bachelor or The Bachelor, you know, that there are women who are trying to figure out if these guys are the real deal. Is he the best for her? So you got a bunch of guys and one chick, right? They say, who's the best of the best? The reason why it's in its 28th season right now is because women have this innate, evolved hindbrain desire for this indignation to figure out, is this guy really who he says he is, or is he trying to deceive? And so when you present yourself as like, I'm an attorney, but you're really a sandwich artist at fucking Subway, that want to figure that, I got him, I figured it out, right? That want to figure out if the guy's authentic or he's not is an evolutionary failsafe for women because they have a higher reproductive cost than men do. So if a woman gets with the guy, she can't, like life-wise, she can't afford to get with the wrong guy and have his babies because even if he's the right guy, it could still be a death sentence for her. Yeah. So there's this innate want for that's why like things like Cheaters or like if you look at any of these shows that play on this want to figure out if the guy's the real deal or not, or if he's cheating on her, he's not cheating on her. The Bachelor is another good example of this. The reason why those shows are so popular is because it plays into that want to figure out if this guy's really the real deal. If you telegraph that to her by saying, yeah, I'm an MOA and I read The Rational Male and I'm red pill, you're done because you're inauthentic because you had to learn that from somewhere else.
And they believe in this magical fairy dust. You just ended up this way. So it's just one of these I mean, you think about like female models, like when you look at models up in New York, they look like they just fell out of bed like that. They're just hot like that. And that women want to believe the same thing about men. You just got it. And like, of course, we all know as men, that's ridiculous. That's not, we had to put so much work into ourselves to even get to the point of the possibility of being able to date a girl. Like, but women don't see that work that we put in.